All right, so we're going to get a little supernatural.
Sure, by all means.
All right, so actually the Winchesters. So what was the challenge of like coming from Supernatural and setting up the sound for the Winchesters?
So, yeah, one thing that we wanted to talk about was, excuse me, how we differentiate it, because it is a new show, but it is obviously it's coming from Supernatural, at least from that world, because it's the two main characters are the parents of the brothers on Supernatural. So there had to be some kind of tie-in, but it needed to be distinct, and something that we settled on early on was the horror elements. Anything that had to do with anything that was just scary and had that sort of DNA. We would use the same language that we used in Supernatural for in Winchesters. So any kind of like aleatoric orchestral gestures, anything really dissonant and harsh, we'd take what we used on Supernatural and use that on Winchesters whenever there'd be appearance of a demon or anything scary. And then, so that was the through line. And then, because Winchesters took place in 1972, we thought, okay, maybe let's lean a little more acoustic, a little more organic, since a lot of Supernatural could be very synth-driven, or when we used guitars, they tended to be more heavily distorted. For Winchesters, it was a little more, just a little, it had a lighter touch. It was more acoustic, more organic, and because it was about the love story between their two parents, that we felt it could just, like I said, just use a lighter touch, a little sweeter at times, and that's how that differentiated itself from the mothership, as we say.
So creatively, you kind of like the idea of maybe taking the Supernatural thing and expanding a little, like the romance, and do a little more different things.
Exactly, because there wasn't really, of course there were romantic moments on Supernatural, but in general, it wasn't the thrust of the show. Whereas with Winchesters, it absolutely was. How these two people sort of get to know each other and form this bond as they fight monsters. But it's more about their bond, more about their romantic bond than a fraternal bond.